party and the country?
First of all, thank you very much for providing me this opportunity. Representing government and my party as an information secretary of Pakistan Muslim League, Nawaz. This Imran Khan's arrest has nothing to do with politics of Pakistan or has nothing to do with political persecution, I would say, because this case has been in courts and has completed the entire due course of the law and has been past all the stages of investigations and also the trial, and the trial court has given this judgment, which is there now, and he's been arrested. It has nothing to do with politics. Somebody who was unable to give the evidence in his defense, where there were allegations that he's been misusing his authority to, when there was a question asked about the state gifts that were given to him, and there are other 4 cases that are in courts, trial courts also, which is about £190 billion, then there is Cypher, then is 9th May, and then foreign funding. So this is one of the cases that is completed, and the trial court has given judgment.
What does arresting one of Pakistan's most popular leaders in the run-up to a general election say about the state of Pakistan's democracy?
Well, the thing is that, again, as I said, you can't let go a person who's violated the authority which was given to him as the Prime Minister of the country. And just because there are elections down the road and you can't arrest him, there's no correlation between the two. You remember when the 3rd time Prime Minister, Mr. Nawaz Sharif, was arrested. The elections were down there, but he was answering all these allegations and he was arrested with his daughter, put in jail. And then later, when Mr. Imran Khan came into power, he jailed all his political opponents and then used his authority, used NAB, used FIA. We didn't do that. There were courts, the law took its own course, and he was the one who was awaiting law. He was the one who was sidestepping law and was not answering when the court used to ask questions, when there were warrants presented to him at his residence. We saw that Zaman Park operation, there was an attack on judicial complex, and we saw 9th May. So one person who was awaiting and sidestepping law all this time in 50 months, and there's a court which has given judgment. So if the court believes that this is the dishonesty proven beyond doubt, and they've given their judgment, so it's like any citizen of the country who's been proven guilty.
It's pretty useful for your party, though, that your main political opponent has just been disqualified in the run-up for a general election.
Well, the thing is that there is a party which is intact there, and the party.
Yes, but the party has significantly had a crackdown in the course of the last few months.
And the thing is, you have to really draw distinction when there's 9th May and insurrection of 9th May. There was an attack on sensitive installations, military installations, hospitals, ambulances, like the Capitol Hill attack, and then you have seen that the people who were involved into the Capitol Hill, they all are convicted, and they all are in jail and are answerable and accountable. So the law, you have to be accountable for your deeds and law. This has nothing to do with politics. A person who's been proven guilty by the court has to be arrested. There's no second question about it. There's no any other argument about it.
Are Pakistan's courts political?
Sorry?
Pakistan's courts political?
Well, there is, you really have to draw a distinction here too, because this is trial court, and then there is a process of investigation that has been completed. The reference has been sent to the trial court where this investigation, and ample opportunity was provided to Mr. Khan in 40 hearings, which he attended only 3. So there's this session court, there's a trial, the trial court, and then there's High Court, and then there's Supreme Court. All the courts can't be politicized because the High Court has given verdict on foreign funding, on the Toshakhana, that the trial court is doing the right thing, where the trial is being done and ample opportunity of defense has been given to Imran Khan. So these are the courts, all the courts, and the court saying that the courts are political or not, I think is not the right argument in this case.
You've just spoken about Nawaz Sharif. When he was going through the court system, it sounded like you thought that was a political.
Well, the thing is that
so it sounds like it's political when you want it to be, and it's not political when you don't want it to be.
No, it's not that. You can't draw a parallel to Mr. Nawaz Sharif. When there was allegation on Mr. Nawaz Sharif, he gave his defense and attended 150 hearings of the NAB court. There was no sensitive installation set on fire, no ambulance, no hospital, no mosque, no school, and there was a clear distinction that when he was asked to answer and was held accountable, he wrote to Supreme Court to start the investigation under suo motu. Here there's a different case. There's an allegation. You have to answer. By evading, by defeating the law, and by attacking the institutions, you can't get away from the law of the land. You can't draw parallel between Mr. Nawaz Sharif and Imran Khan.
Do you not worry that in the course of the last few months we've seen quite a significant crackdown on a political party? We have seen the powers of a caretaker government be increased. We've seen the powers of some of the police be increased. Do you not worry that you are setting your own party up for this exact same treatment as soon as you are no longer politically expedient to the establishment?
I think you can't hoodwink the public all the time and deceive the public all the time. It's the other way around. I think there has been a crackdown by Mr. Khan inciting violence, instigating the workers on the police, the rangers, the state organs. You know, it has been other way around. When he was asked to answer, there was a crackdown by Mr. Khan, and we have evidence available. We've seen Zaman Park operation where the police was welcomed by petrol pumps. Women and children were used as human shields. So I don't see how it is a crackdown on a party, because if there was a
most of their political leaders have now left.
No,
there have been thousands of individuals who have been in prison. Mr. Khan's name is not allowed to be said on television. Is that not a crackdown?
No, the thing is that Mr. Khan's, you have to really draw a distinction on national interest, madam. When Capitol Hill was attacked and that incident, there was no distinction. Whoever was involved in it was jailed and was convicted today. So you really have to draw a distinction between national interest, between attack on sensitive military installations and hospitals and school children. And Mr. Khan has admitted that this has been directed by him, and there's ample evidence available that shows that Mr. Khan has been masterminding this entire episode of 9th May. So you can't say that this is a crackdown because of any political victimization or political persecution. Yes, there was a political victimization which we saw in Mr. Khan's tenure in 4.5 years, where entire 2 benches of the parliament were behind the bars. And today, by the courts, by the court verdicts, after the accountability process has been completed, all those people are out of jail on merit by the courts. So you have to really draw that distinction.
In the history of Pakistan politics, we've seen on multiple occasions that the courts and the legal system has been used to stop individuals from continuing in power. We've seen the vast majority of political leaders in Pakistan have ended up in the courts at some point. So are you saying that there is no political element in Mr. Khan's arrest by comparison to the other political leaders that we've seen throughout the decades?
I'm outrightly rejecting it. And why I say that? No political process and no political opportunity stopped Imran Khan to give his defense in 40 hearings of the trial court. Why was he not able to provide the evidence in his defense? Why was he not able to give answers to the questions that were raised in the trial? No political process had stopped him. If he was not dishonest, which the verdict says that dishonesty has been proven beyond doubt. If this was the case, then I think 40 hearings, you should be able to provide your evidence in your defense that, and he said that he does not know. When he was asked about the state gifts, he said my military secretary would know because he used to sell and buy gifts on my behalf. When he is asked about 190 million, he says my cabinet should be answerable. When he is asked about 9th May insurrection, he says my workers needs to answer about it because they are the ones who did that. When he's asked about the economic, what he's done to the economy of the country, he says I did not have the right team. Man, you were the Prime Minister of the country. It was your authority, and in your personal capacity, you bought the state gifts. You did not declare them in their tax. In your tax, who stopped Mr. Khan not to declare the state gifts in his tax forms? Who stopped him from not declaring it in election forms? Nobody did that. If this entire thing was transparent, this should have been the asset declaration forms of all public representatives in election commission, which is called Form B. He did not declare anything in his forms. Why is the question, where he's unable to provide evidence also that he bought the gifts. He first sold the gifts, then he bought them and deposited the money, and he doesn't have the receipts. Where does this happen? I was also given state gifts. You deposit them in the inventory, and if you do not want them, if you want to buy them, you have a receipt, you buy them. But in all this, who had stopped Imran Khan to not provide the evidence in his defense? So this is not political. It is about the things is being trialed, and he was unable to answer, and he's arrested.
What will happen if there are protests in response to his arrest?
I think you can sort of deceive the gullible supporters a few times. You can fool a small set of people a few times, but I think in large numbers the general public now realizes, and then when the evidence has come out, when there has been a questionnaire which has been given to Mr. Khan and he was unable to answer that. So I think the evidence is in public now, people understand all these things, and people are, Pakistani people are intelligent. They do draw distinction between what is right and what is not, and what is political persecution and what is political victimization, as opposed to where the public representatives are held accountable. I have to be held accountable also. I need to answer if any allegation is erected on me. So these are the things that every general public now knows. Where are the protests? I was just coming from Lahore to Islamabad, no protest, and Zaman Park, no protest, because people now realize you can't deceive all the people all the time.
Are people scared? Because this is the other side of it.
I've
seen a crackdown. The reason we're not seeing people coming out because people are scared.
We saw worse scare when Mr. Nawaz Sharif was arrested, when he was coming at the airport, when he was arrested at the airport, when he on his own will came back to Pakistan. And he answered all the questions.
That's not the question. And people
were
it's not about Mr. Sharif.
No.
The question is whether or not people are scared to protest.
I'm saying why?
Because of the previous crackdown that we've seen.
Why? Why do you say that? Why are people scared?
No, I'm asking you the question.
No,
do you think people are scared?
I think people are not scared. People now understand, and his true face has been. People know about it, and people realize that he couldn't answer what was asked, and he had been on a responsible position, a constitutional position, the highest office of the government, which is the Prime Minister. He has to answer everything which he needs to answer during his tenure.
And what will happen to people if they do come out to protest?
Well, I think this is preemptive to say. I don't see any protests happening. It's been a few hours now that he's arrested and he's in jail, and court had ordered that if people had or wanted to protest, they're free to protest. But I don't see any people out on the streets.
Will they be arrested if they do come out to protest?
We don't arrest political protests. We have drawn a clear distinction because we are not fascist government like Mr. Khan, and we believe in democracy because we've been victim to that curtailment of freedom of expression. And at one point in time, it's very interesting that I would just like to mention here that at one point in time, the two first rows and benches of the opposition when Mr. Khan was the Prime Minister, and he was called the media predator during his times by international organizations who have improved our rating by 7% in freedom of expression. So the entire opposition was in jail, their daughters were in jail, their sisters were in jail, and we didn't say that this is attack on we didn't do any attacks on hospitals, schools. We used to have miles and miles of peaceful protests. We were under the PDM flag, the Pakistan Democratic Movement flag, which was led by the opposition. We didn't see any attack on any buildings or PTV or Radio Pakistan or ambulances or schools or hospitals. This is a new phenomenon. I've heard for the first time this definition of a petrol bomb used by a political party, for God's sake. And when you tell them to give answers, when you ask him to give your defense, and they attack hospitals and schools, I've never seen it in any democracy around the world.
You were saying you don't arrest political protesters. You've already seen people who were outside Mr. Khan's house who were chanting, waving flags, and then very quickly picked up by the police.
When?
Today.
I have no report of any of that.
We do, because we have BBC urging down the scene.
I think anybody who there's a way of a political peaceful protest. If you are attacking the buildings, schools and hospitals,
were not attacking buildings.
And I don't think by chanting slogans or support of Mr. Khan, few people, I didn't see, first of all, a large number outside his house. But if there were any, I don't think that they were arrested.
We saw them being picked up by
And
police.
I don't think that if they were not creating any law and order situation, they were picked up, maybe. But I have no reports of anything because I'm just coming from a Senate committee. I would find out if there is any, but I don't have any information prior on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you
your
very
time.
much.
Thank you. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.